Hi there. All right, you're welcome again to yet another edition of Organic Academy. Now, in the last tutorial, we talked about the four major elements of the local area network, and we spoke about the server or made mention of some of the functions of the server. Now, today we are going to progress to the network interface unit. Okay. Before I go further, it is very important to know that we are talking about the network interface unit in the context of local area network. Okay, because you also have the network interface unit, in the context of telecommunication in general. Okay, so when the context changes, the definition becomes broader, but we are limiting our definition of network interface unit based on the local area network. Now, the network interface unit in the local area network is also called the network interface card. Okay, it's like a physical device. It's a physical device actually. Okay, you will see an image of the network interface card below me in this video. Okay, so as you can see, it's actually a device. Okay, the network interface unit is a connection point between the server and the workstation. Okay, we have not talked about the workstation. Okay, but the workstation is the computer that is connected to the network which the user actually interact with. Okay, so just take that simple definition of the workstation. So the network interface unit, it serves as that connection point between the server and the workstation. Okay, which or whereby data can be transferred from one point of the network to another. Okay, so you can look at the network interface unit as a bridge. Let's say, for instance, I want to move from one particular point to another, and in trying to do that, there is a large body of water between where I am to the place that I'm supposed to go to. Okay, how can I get there? It is through the construction of a what? Of a bridge. Okay, so you can look at the network interface unit from that simple illustration I just gave as the bridge between the server and the workstation in the context of the what? The local area network. Now, that is a simple definition of the network interface unit. Now, let's look at some of the key functions of the network interface unit. First, one of the key function of the network interface unit is network connection. Now, this is the number one primary function of the network interface unit. It serves as a connection point between like I said, the workstation and the server, whereby data can be transferred. Okay, so this is one of the key functions of the network interface unit. It is that physical point of connection. It is that point whereby the data can be transferred from the workstation, or rather from the server to the workstation, and vice versa. Another thing is signal processing. This is another function of the network interface unit, signal processing. Now, what is signal processing here? In the server, or in the internal format, the data in the internal format in the server cannot be taken like that, to the workstation. There has to be some kind of conversion, okay, for it to be transported. Okay, so the network interface unit is that particular device that enables the conversion of the data to a signal that can be transferred from the server to the workstation. Okay, are you getting it? So that is what the signal processing is all about here. Okay, it's actually a conversion process taking place. The data is converted into a signal which can be moved, transported. Remember, I gave a simple illustration of the network interface unit, acting like a bridge between the workstation, between the server and the workstation. Okay, but then this data that needs to be transferred or transported, or you can use the layman term transported, okay, but in ICT terms, it's actually transmitted, will have to be converted into a signal. Okay, because if it is not converted into a signal, it will be very difficult to transfer that data from where it is to where it is needed. Okay, so the network interface unit is actually what processes that data, okay, into a particular signal that can be what? Transmitted. Now, another key function of the network interface unit is MAC address. What is MAC? MAC is media access control. Okay, this word MAC means media access control. Okay, we are not going to go into details of MAC, but what does the network interface unit do with regards to MAC address? Now, what the network interface unit does is that it serves as a unique identifier to each hardware in the world, in the network, okay? Because it has a unique addressing system, okay? Stating that, okay, this particular hardware is what this data belongs to. Okay, this particular hardware is what this data belongs to. Because of that unique addressing system that the network interface unit has, it now acts as, an address, okay, for the various hardwares in the network. Okay, so that is the function of the network interface unit with regard to what? The MAC address. And then we go finally to data handling. Data handling. Now, data handling. What does let me bring my camera down a little bit so that you can see the data handling. All right, so now, data handling. What does the network interface unit does when it comes to data handling? Simple. Now, the data, okay, it uses a particular specialized techniques to be able to what? To handle data. That is, when the network interface unit wants to transmit. Remember, I said that the network interface unit transmits data. Okay, after that is you convert it to signal first, and then now transmit that signal from the server to the workstation. Okay, it uses a specialized technique in what? In doing that, so that the CPU will not be what? Overloaded. So without the network interface unit, where they want to be a transmission of data, the CPU can be overloaded. It's possible that the CPU can be overloaded. But with the network interface unit, the CPU will not be what? Overloaded when data is being what? Transferred, because it has a specialized technique in what? In handling data. And the technique it uses is direct memory access. Take note of this word. Direct memory access. So, which is DMA, the acronym DMA. So, this is the technique actually that the network interface unit uses in handling data when it is being what? Transmitted. Okay, so that the CPU will not be what? Overloaded. Now, these are the key functions of the network interface unit. Now we're going to look at some of the examples of, the network interface unit. Now, under these examples, the network interface unit can actually be internal. What do I mean by internal? Meaning that the network interface card, remember I said that in the context of the local area network, the network interface unit can be a network interface card, or otherwise called NIC, network interface card. I hope you can see this. Network interface card called NIC. So in your local area network, the network interface unit is actually your what? Your network interface card, which you can see below this video right now. Okay, so now I said that the network interface card can either be internal or external. What do I mean by internal or external? In the internal case, the network interface card can actually be in the server, whereby it can take data in the internal format in the server, convert it to the signal, then transfer it, okay, to the workstation over the network, okay? That is an internal network interface unit. It can be in the server. But then we also have the external network interface unit. In this case, the network interface card is not in the server. Rather, it is external, outside of the network. Okay? In this particular scenario or situation, the network interface card actually connects that particular network or the local area network, because it is the local area network we are talking about. It connects the local area network to another network, like the internet. Okay, remember in the previous video I told you that the internet is actually a what? A network. Okay, so the network interface unit can connect the local area network to another network like the internet. So in that scenario or in this situation, the network interface unit now serves as an external what? An external LAN. Okay, so remember I said we have two examples or two scenarios that the network interface unit can function, either in the internal LAN, which is inside the server, or external. Thank you for watching this video. In the next class, we are going to talk about workstation. Thank you very much. Bye.